Hello everyone and welcome back to another Grand Archive video. Today I'll be sharing my experience from Ascent Auckland, including an in-depth deck profile on my Wind Allied deck that I used to get top 32 and win a store championship with. I'd also like to start the video with a big thank you to multiple people, including Geek Culture for being amazing hosts, the judges that were up there, all of the Nelson crew that came up, and a huge shout out to James for letting me commentate the top 8 matches at Ascent Auckland. If you have time, make sure to check out the Card Merchant YouTube channel because they also do Grand Archive content over there and James also runs it. So make sure to check him out, and a huge shout out to James. The event was ran incredibly smoothly and I have no complaints whatsoever, so hats off to all the team that were behind the scenes. Without further ado though, let's get into the Wind Allied deck list. Before I start the deck list, I would like to give a little insight on my matchups on the day and kind of how I thought the deck went. So day 1 there were 6 rounds of Swiss, and after those 6 rounds of Swiss it went to a top 32 cut and then 3 more rounds of Swiss, which would then conclude the top 8, if that makes sense. So your Swiss results from day 1 still followed through to day 2 for the last 3 Swiss games, which then led on to the top cut. I'll try putting like a visual of what kind of the event looked like. I don't know if it's confusing or if I'm explaining it wrong, but yeah, that's how it worked. So round 1 I versed the Mirror, so I versed Wind Allies. It was a draw, so I lost the first round and then won the second, but unfortunately there was no time to finish the third, so we just concluded it as a draw. From memory, I don't think I saw enough Phalanx Captains or Banner Knights to kind of close out the game quick enough, which kind of led to it going to time, but also my opponent was very familiar with the deck and I thought he played very well, so hats off to him. Round 2 I was versing Fire Merlin, which was actually quite a quick matchup. Unfortunately my opponent saw none of his like fireballs or dungeon guides or cards that he can excel and get to level 3, so unfortunately I just had enough like allies just to swing and hit him for game. Round 3 was once again the Mirror. I did end up winning this one. It was very close. Round 1 I won, but then round 2 he won, so it went to round 3 and it was a very close game, but I managed to close it out. Don't remember exactly how the game went, but I just remember kind of having more allies on board, and from there I was able to just save my allies and make sure that I maintained like a big board that he just couldn't break through. Round 4 was against Fire Lorraine. It was actually against Marnie from Nelson, so it was a bit unfortunate for like a bit of friendly fire, I guess. I did end up winning the match, but I don't think it was because of me playing well. I just think it was because of him drawing bad. It's normally a very hard matchup for me because I'm mainly Prismatic Edge, just being able to rip a card out my memory and deal 3 to me, well I kind of can't really respond, so he just gets rid of my allies pretty easily. But I won that game 2-0. Yeah, it was really unfortunate because normally I meant to lose every time into that matchup. I was just very fortunate that he... Round 5 was against a Fire Lorraine. I did end up winning this. It was against a Fire Lorraine Incel build, so it was actually quite tough for me because I don't run cards like Resolute Stand or Peaceful Reunion, so if they get Incel out they can just clear my entire board and I kind of can't respond unless I have like a Song of Nurturing or something, which I fortunately did have in the game that he did bring out Insol. I think I won 2-1, so I believe he did get a win on me, but fortunately I was able to get enough damage for game and push for the win, which I did. And for my final round it was against a Water Lorraine. It was actually against Isaac from the True Champion crew, who was on a Water Lorraine build. Don't really remember much of this matchup, I'm going to be honest, because I had 4 wins and a draw. I was already secured into top 32, so I wasn't really worried about the last game because I thought it would just go to top 32 cut and then it would be like fully repaired, the Swiss rounds, for some reason. I don't know why I thought that, but so yeah, that last round did actually matter quite a bit because if I had 5 wins and a draw going into day 2, I would have been in a lot more stable position going into day 2. And unfortunately I did lose this game 2-0. I don't really remember much from the game. I was quite tired and it was the last round of the day, so yeah. So day 2, just to put it into perspective, if I wanted to get to the top 8 cut I would have had to have won my next 3 games, or I believe if I had won my first 2 and then ID'd my last game I would have gotten through to the top 8. But unfortunately my first game was against a Water Lorraine, and unfortunately he won the first round and then I won the second, and like my first round there was just not enough time to close out a 3rd game, so unfortunately it did end in a draw, which put me in quite a bad position if I wanted to qualify into top 8. And in hindsight, after drawing that game I actually had no chance, but obviously I didn't know that in the moment. My second game of day 2, or game 8. I versed a Wind ally mirror. This game also was very tight, and I won the first round, he won the second round, and went to the third round, and unfortunately we just went to time, and which meant I got another draw, which meant I was unable to get to top 8 after that round. So yeah, it was a very good game. It was very tight. In the Wind ally mirror, Dream Fairy is like one of the key cards to like getting rid of their big board breaking cards like Phalanx Captain, Ascent Protector, cards like that. And first turn he opens 2 of them and plays on both my guys, and it was unfortunately downhill from there. So yeah, I lost my game 8, which meant I couldn't get to top 8, which honestly, looking back at it now, wasn't even that bad, because I was able to commentate the top 8, 4 and finals matches of Ascent with Liam Gill, who was also from Nelson and came up from the Nelson crew. So yeah, and for my last round, round 9, I was honestly so out of it because I was pretty frustrated that I didn't win the last game. So I versed a Rye. I don't really remember much of the game. I do remember bringing out a Wind Bauble against a Fire Rye, which I thought was really funny, but I believe he just 2-0'd me. I was so kind of out of it just from the last round and just not being able to get to top 8. But it was a good game. The guy played very well. Unfortunately, Peaceful Reunion is a very good card, was countering this deck, and he opened 2 of them in the first round, so it was a bit unfortunate, but it was a fun game, I guess, to close out the tournament. So those were my matchups for the day. Overall, I thought the deck actually played pretty well, better than I thought it would, because I had a lot of doubts actually going into the tournament choosing this deck. But yeah, I'm happy with getting top 32, and the week before that I had won a store championship with the deck, so I thought I'd give it a go at Ascent, and it did perform well. So let's get on to the actual deck profile. Alright, so we will start off with the kind of main 4 of allies that we play in the deck. So we play 4 Wind Rider Vanguard, 4 Lurking Assailant. So Wind Rider Vanguard, super solid card, 3 cost, 2/3 with Vigor, just really helpful for retaliating as well. So if they're trying to clear this, you can retaliate to attack, you know, kills 2 health allies. Just a really solid card. And Lurking Assailant, one of my favorite cards in the deck, if I'm going to be honest. Having stealth when it's awake, so like playing this like turn 1 is really good because they just can't clear it. And also at level 1, if you keep it alive, can retaliate against attackers while it's not defending. So say I am level 1 and Lurking Assailant is awake and they go to attack Wind Rider Vanguard, I can retaliate with Lurking Assailant and also Wind Rider Vanguard. So that would come in for say 4 and for this example, which could kill something like an Ascent Protector or a Phalanx Captain, which is actually really strong. Obviously most people wouldn't do that, but just kind of having the retaliation there is kind of a protection against your allies, because they know that they're going to have to try get rid of this or like play around the retaliate. So Lurking Assailant, Wind Rider Vanguard, very good cards. Next, for the 4 of allies, we have the allies that kind of buff your guys, kind of make the deck like astronomically better. Banner Knight, 4 Banner Knight and 4 Phalanx Captain. So Phalanx Captain, one of the best cards in the deck, being a 1/4, and it costs 1 less to activate for each human ally you control. So normally you'll have like 2 or 3 up. So this being a 2 cost that buffs all your other human allies by 1 is just so unbelievably strong. And then Banner Knight also, very strong card. This paired with Crystal of Empowerment buffs everything. I'll get into more of that later, but very good card, being a 2 cost. Also buff Lorraine. Phalanx Captain doesn't. Phalanx Captain only buffs human allies, whereas Banner Knight actually buffs your champion as well. So both very good cards, both work in their own special way, but very good cards, and it's a mandatory 4 of in the deck. And lastly, for the 4 of allies, we play I like to call it the squirrel package. So we play 4 Woodland Squirrels, 4 Ascent Protectors, and then lastly 4 Gildas. Squirrel, one of the best cards in the game. Don't try to tell me it's Rending Liam. Obviously, being able to bring out Ascent Protector, so on into you have to return an ally you control to its hand, just return the squirrel at 0 cost. Being able to bring out Ascent Protector, a 3/4 with intercept, super powerful, especially when there's a lot of 3 health allies going around like Frostworn Paladin or Wind Rider Vanguard, or just cards like that where you just want to have a big body to swing it at once just to get rid of it. Also, hitting for 4 with Gildas feels so nice, just being able to balance it easily, especially paired with the squirrel is just so good. And also Gildas and Ascent Protector being able to be buffed by Phalanx Captain is just so nice because they're both humans. So sweet for like a 5 attack Gildas or something, is just, it just feels so broken. But yeah, those are all of the 4 of allies in the deck. Now we'll move on to kind of the rest of the allies. For the only floating that I play in the deck actually is 3 Stalwart Shieldmate and 3 Swift Recruit. Now, I'll get into more of why I'm playing 3 ofs rather than 4 ofs later. It was kind of a silly decision, but that's just the decision that I made going into the tournament. So I made the decision to play Stalwart Shieldmate instead of Tactful Sergeant, which was a no-brainer because Tactful Sergeant's not very good in this deck because we aren't attacking that much, and even when we are, we'd rather play other cards. It's just Tactful Sergeant just doesn't seem as beneficial as other cards, or in this case Stalwart. So being able to put up a 2-cost Taunt, so Taunt you have to attack it before you attack anything else, so being able to like kind of be a little body I guess for the allies to hide behind. Yeah, just being able to save your allies is real nice. Add Swift Recruit, just being a 2-cost, intercept and floating is really nice. Can also be buffed by Phalanx Captain, which does come up a lot, so having a 2-attack Swift Recruit's real nice. And yeah, just overall real solid card. And lastly for the allies, I decided to play 3 Dream Fairy and 2 Weaponsmith. Now I know these ratios might seem a little bit weird, but this is just the thought process that I had going into it. The reason I'm playing 3 of Dream Fairy is because I want to see it, but I don't want to see multiple of it. I don't want it to be bricking in my hand where it's a 3-cost, where there's no targets for me to play, and I don't know. It was just my opinion. I thought it played pretty well on the day, like I always saw it when I needed to, and I didn't verse any deck where I was like, damn, I wish I had the 4th Dream Fairy. Could bump it up to 4 in the future, I'm not really sure, but that was just my decision behind playing 3 of Dream Fairy. I just thought 3 was enough. And 2 Weaponsmith. Being able to put a durability counter on your sword just to keep it alive is really nice. I didn't really want to see multiple of this just because like I'd rather be seeing like Phalanx Captains, Banner Knights, you know, Windrider Vanguard, stuff like that, but just seeing in your hand is quite nice. I might actually bump this up to 3 depending on kind of how I move forward if I continue with this deck. But yeah, being able to keep your sword up, and it's also a 2-cost 1/3, which is quite a nice stat line. So yeah, that is all of the allies that I'm playing in this deck. Now we'll move on to kind of the rest of the cards. Alright, so we'll start off with kind of the cards that protect your allies and keep them around for as long as possible, which is basically the entire goal of this deck. Just put enough pressure on board to where they have to kill the allies, and then as soon as they try to, you just kind of stop them. So 4 Deflecting Edge, 3 Song of Nurturing, and 3 Displace. In my opinion, Deflecting Edge probably near the top like best cards in this deck. Just being able to use it for free while you have a sword is just so broken, and being able to prevent 3 attack damage on one of your allies, it's so good. So that's why I'm running 4 of it, because literally one of my favorite cards in the deck, just being able to save my guys with like 1 card in hand. I opted to run Song of Nurturing instead of Favourable Winds. I personally don't like Favourable Winds that much. In my opinion, people value the floating memory too much. This being able to buff your guys by 2 health is actually so important. A lot of the time they're using cards like Anger the Skies or Cleaving for large amounts of damage, where 2 health is just so necessary, especially when you've got a lot of like 3 health allies on, or 3 or 2 health allies on board. So yeah, that's the reason I ran Song of Nurturing. It was kind of just my opinion behind it. Being able to save your guys consistently is really nice, and a lot of people weren't really expecting it when I was playing it. Displace is super nice. Obviously being able to like use it in lots of different scenarios, like bouncing your own Dream Fairy to get a different target, or displacing your guy when they go to attack, it's really nice. Just a super solid card. I personally am not running Zephyr in this build, which in hindsight I believe is a mistake. I believe I should be running Zephyr mainly because it can interact with Regalia, which Displace can't. So yeah, that's definitely a change that I would make going forward. Moving on to kind of more offensive cards, I guess you could say. We're running 4 Inspiring Call, 3 Second Wind, 2 Hurricane Sweep, and 2 Attune the Winds. Now, once again, I understand these ratios might be a little bit weird for people to understand, but I'll explain. Inspiring Call I don't think needs explaining. It is, once again, it's like Deflecting Edge, just one of the most broken cards in the deck. Being able to only pay 1 to use it, and all allies you control gain attack until the end of the turn, and drawing a card into memory, it just feels so broken when you use it, especially when you have like 4 allies on board. Inspiring Call is just super nice in all of my games. Second Wind, I think this card was actually I saw a lot of people actually cutting this card because they didn't think it was viable, and I think that is very silly, because Second Wind won me so many games where you pair it with like a card like Lurking Assailant and also a card like Poison Coating Oil. This in turn is 10 damage, these three. I'll go into it a bit more later when I go over the material deck, but swinging for 10 with like, if you already had the Lurking Assailant out and then it's materialized, you materialize the Poison Coating Oil and you have this in hand and you still have other cards in hand, it's insanely powerful. 10 damage in one turn is a lot, and it can sometimes like win you the game, which it won me a lot of games surprisingly. Also, second winding your Gildas, a lot more people know about that. Obviously it's really nice. Once again, hitting for 10 damage with a Gildas, super powerful. Definitely run second wind. Now the two ofs that I was playing, so two of Hurricane Sweep and two Attune the Winds, these were cards that I didn't want to see all the time, but if I really needed to, I would go ham like drawing, trying to get these two cards to like end the game. So Hurricane Sweep, obviously very strong in mirror, just being able to sweep their entire board. If you go to level 2 for 4 damage, I believe. If you have Abandoned Night out, it's 5, so super good. And then Attune the Winds, being able to put a buff counter on every single ally you control is super powerful, especially when you have like a 2/2 squirrel or something. It's just really nice. In the future I might bump this up to 3 just because of how powerful it is, and because I actually, every time I saw it, it works so well, and just being able to buff everything is so strong. I am considering cutting these, just two of the Hurricane Sweep. I just wasn't really seeing it enough when I needed to, and also 2 of in a deck is a bit of a weird ratio. So yeah, I might cut this and put in, like as I said earlier, the Zephyrs, and probably buff this to 3. So that is it for the main deck. Now we'll move on to the material deck. Alright, so starting off the material deck, we obviously play the Spirit of Wind, level 1 Lorraine and level 2 Lorraine. Now some people side this, some people don't even play it like at all. I personally am running level 2 because sometimes, like in the long grindy games, you want to be able to have that extra 4 health and also have your Banner Knight online, and a lot of the time this on enter you get +2, and on kill draw a card does come up, especially when I was saying earlier the cleaving for like 4 damage is really nice. So yeah, I would highly recommend playing the level 2 in the main. I didn't find another viable option to play in the main other than the water trinket, and I think we are favored into the water matchup, so I think the water trinket would be a bit overkill. So that's why I think Lorraine level 2 is just a bit better in my opinion. Obviously this deck doesn't have many draw options like other elements do, like Creative Shock for fire, so we do run one of every single bauble just to give us that advantage in every matchup, and also the Grand Crusader ring. Just being able to run 2 rings, I guess, against every deck is just really nice. I'm always materializing these. The extra draw is just so nice, and yeah. We are playing the 2 swords, so Sword of Seeking is always the one you're bringing out with Lorraine, and then Ornamental Greatsword. Some people weren't running this, but I personally think it's just super good being able to buff one of your allies, which does come up sometimes, and yeah, I just thought it was a pretty good option to be honest. And Sword Seeking, probably just one of the best swords in the game, just being able to use it. It's got 2 durability, it's got 1 attack, and it's also got True Sight, which does actually come up. For the kind of, I would say flex spots, but cards that kind of some people aren't running, I do run the Tithe, the Poison Coating Oil, and the Crystal of Empowerment. Tithe is for the Rye matchup, just being able to stop them from going for that big kind of draw term with all of the careful studies and parent manas is really nice. Also just being able to use it like banishing a floating that you have to get the extra draw, not really worrying about the other effect is quite nice. So yeah, that's why I was running Tithe. As I said earlier, Poison Coating Oil reads target ally with stealth gets +2 attack until the end of the turn if my camera would focus, which doesn't seem like it wants to. So once again, as I said earlier, you put this on the Lurking Assailant that you already have on board, and then you pop it. So because it is awake, it will gain the +2 attack, and then you play the second wind, and that will be attacking for 5. Wake up, it'll do 10. So very strong card. Can also be used on Dream Fairy because Dream Fairy has stealth, and yeah, just being able to swing for those kind of big attack turns where you want to be putting the pressure on as much as possible. And then Crystal of Empowerment, this is literally just to put Banner Knight online, giving your champion 2 levels. Yeah, that's basically its only real purpose. Banner Knight's really good, being able to give everything +1 attack, and you kind of want to make it online as much as possible. So that's it for the material deck. Now we'll move on to the side deck. So in the side deck I am playing the Viridian Trinket, Quicksilver Grail, and nullifying. So the trinket I don't really think needs explaining. Insanely good against water. Just being able to like stop them from playing a card like Frostbind or Song of Frost on your turn. It's really nice. Quicksilver Grail is used for the Fire Lorraine matchup and sometimes Fire Melon, depending on kind of what variant they're running, or any kind of Erupting Rhapsody deck. Yeah, just being able to put the old nullifying underneath it. They have to kill it once, you banish it, bring this out, and then they have to kill it again. So very nice, very annoying for your opponent to deal with. For the other side deck cards that I'm playing, I'm running a Crimson Protective Trinket, a Tariff Ring, and a Eye of Argus. Crimson Protective Trinket just gives you kind of the edge in the wind matchup. It is super nice to be able to rip 2 cards from their memory, which could put you in kind of the driver's seat and to control the game from there. We are also playing the Tariff Ring. Super good in the mirror, super good against Ensoul, super good against basically any deck that attacks. Making them pay 2 can just stop their turn completely and can just provide you with a little kind of breather turn where you can set up your board and actually try get rid of theirs. And then lastly, Eye of Argus. This is literally just to deal with anyone else's Dream Fairies or just units with stealth. Just reads target ally you control gains true sight until the end of the turn and you get to draw a card. So it's a really nice card to kind of just have just in case your opponent is playing the Dream Fairy, which every single Wind Ally deck is. And then lastly, for the last 2 cards, I am running 2 Innervate Agility. Now this was the card that I was like, either this is going to win me games or be completely dead in them. I used this a couple times and it won me the game. So games like Rye where they're going in for like Arcane Blast, Fireball, you play this card, you de-level yourself, you recover 5 health, and then you give yourself Spell Shroud or Stealth. Now this can also be used against Fire Lorraine, giving yourself stealth when they go for a big Rending Flames attack or like a devastating blow or something. Just giving all units stealth is so nice. Like saving your allies is also really powerful. But yeah, super solid card. It is a 2 cost. It was kind of my flex spot where I was like, I don't know if I want to be playing this or not. I did end up playing it and it did come up clutch in some situations, so I am happy that I played it. And yeah, Innervate Agility, it's a pretty good card. And that is it for my Wind Ally deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. There will be more deck profiles coming soon. There is one that I've lined up from Glenn, and I also have a lot more other gameplay videos and some unboxing videos that will be coming soon, so make sure you stay tuned. A lot of good content coming forward soon. I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.